All right, folks, back on the Bossman show with new head coach, Delaware Blue Hens, Ryan Carty out of CAA. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing awesome. I appreciate you having me on.
No doubt. Man, may I ask you, man, how's it feel to be back home, man, where you play ball at, man, as the head coach, man, in the mid-2000s, man?
It's special. It feels really, really special. It's funny. There's been so many improvements to the facility since I came back, since I've been back, but it still feels like home. It looks a little different, but you get the same feelings when you walk around campus and when you walk around the facility. The people are still, have the same sentiments and the same belief in the building and in the community. And so it's been really special to come back and hopefully, bring this place back to where it was when I was here as a player.
No doubt. And let me ask you this, man, Ryan. At what point in your career did you decide you want to get into coaching, man? Because I know it's always a point that triggers it. So what was that your trigger point to go and say, hey, I want to get into coaching, man?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's funny. So my father is a Hall of Fame New Jersey high school football coach. Both of my brothers are high school football coaches. I was pretty certain when I was in college that I did not want to be that. I didn't want to do what my dad did. And, I'd seen him work those long hours. I'd seen him, deal with parents and all that stuff and go through the wins and the losses. And it's tough. And I don't know. I want to say around my junior or senior year, I just decided that it was what, my calling was. And I really wanted to be around football the rest of my life and be around guys, the players the rest of my life. And I think, I at least wanted to give it a shot. I knew I didn't want to do it in high school. And so I was lucky enough to land up at in New Hampshire and man, was I, kind of plopped into a great football coaching tree that Sean McDonald has, from, Chip Kelly all the way down, Ryan Day and Tim Cramsey and Derek Sage, all those guys that I got a chance to work with, Alex Grinch, and the amount of people that are, right now kind of running the college football world. I was lucky enough to be able to be a young fly on the wall there and see how a lot of guys did it. And it really made me love coaching college football. And so I guess somewhere in college, I decided the switch kind of flipped for me. And I was lucky enough to be in a situation early where, it was challenging, but it was fun. And so I love it.
Let me ask you this, Ryan. Now, my dad's a coach too. He's 81 years old. So can you watch a game with your dad and it not be like a coaching session? I know with my dad, it's like he's coaching the TV, man.
Yeah.
No, it should run inside zone. It should run duo and power. I'm like, Dad, watch the game, man. Like, I know these things. I'm aware of everything's going on, Dad. You told me my whole life.
I think the answer to that question is no. My dad is still doing that as well. And it's funny because my whole family is, my poor mother, it's me and my two brothers and my dad are all coaches. And so she's around the dinner table at Christmas. It always somehow gets back to, the difference between cover two and cover three. So, but no, that's pretty much what games are like in the Carty house as well.
It's funny. My dad still has his yellow legal pad and draws out plays, takes notes at 81 years old, man.
That's awesome.
It blows my mind.
You gotta love that. You can't beat it.
It's hilarious, man.
Yeah, exactly.
My mom's like, she's like, Jay, stop. Yeah, just stop. You're not on the field anymore. My father retired from coaching in 2012.
Okay.
So he still has that itch. My uncle coaches at St. John's Prep.
Oh, really?
In Massachusetts. He's 73 years old, still coaching under the line.
No way.
So my family, like yours, is full of coaches. Now, I played football, but I chose radio. I said, I won't have the gray hair you all have.
Either gray or it's missing,
Both. There was both. Yes, indeed, man. It was so fun, man. And so let me ask you, man, for your program, what's going to be your pillars of your program to make sure the young men hold these values each day to come into the building for you guys represent the Blue Hens and what you love so much, man?
Yeah. Well, again, we talk a lot, internally with our leadership council and our team, and hopefully our leadership council. And that's one of the things we've done here. Our leadership council is the people who then disseminate the information to the rest of the team. So we'll talk as, coaches and them and get the leadership coalition together. And then those guys can then talk about the core values, the goals and the standards of the program. And essentially, we have our 4 core values, and what we want them to understand as kids is your core values are just words, right? They're just things that slogans, and they're just a slogan on a t-shirt. They're a hashtag until you bring them to life, right? Until your goals and your standards become the things that hold those pillars up, because the rest of the time it's just things we say. Your culture is not what you say it is, it's what you allow, right? And so we have to make sure that we hold each other accountable to these core values and to these goals and standards that we've set. And so that's what this time period's been for us. This 5-month time period since I've been here is really trying to get down to the foundation of who we are, who we want to become, and then building up from the ground and making sure that we're sturdy enough so that when things go wrong, when there's challenges, when there's adversity, we can withstand it because we know who we are. It's more important than what we believe in. It's who we are. And so, right now that's our charge. That's what we've been trying to do. I think we've been doing a great job. The leaders here are tremendous. We have a really good group of kids that are, in the upper classes, really, which it always is nice when some of your best players are your best leaders. And we have that right now. Our best players are our best leaders. Nolan Henderson and Kedrick Whitehead and Noah Plack and Thyrick Pitts, Liam Trainer, Johnny Buchanan. Those guys are great leaders. And they're our best all-conference players, and there are kids that have been successful in games for this team in the past, and we obviously expect them then to continue to be great on the field. But they're really good kids, and they do a nice job at kind of taking over the team when, especially in this time of year, when we're allowed to spend less time with them. And it's really the strength coach and them. They have to police themselves, and they have to be the team leaders.
I was asking you about that. How has it been, with the workouts in the summertime as you get ready for that fall camp here coming up here in August? So how's the workouts been going? Getting them out there throwing the ball to each other as well, doing the individual drills on their own. How's it been getting their skill development piece up? They've
been great. They really have. We've seen a lot of progress from what we were in the spring to what we are now, and that's makes sense. We've added some new pieces, some new people, but also we changed offense, defense, and special teams. And so, when you get into that, the first couple of days of spring was a little bit sloppier, and then we got a little bit better as spring went on. And now you have new people and new fresh faces and some freshmen up and some transfers in. And now you get a little bit different feel for who we might become. And now that scheme is becoming a little bit more commonplace. Now we've had a million meetings since the time we got here. And that's another thing the kids have been great at. I mean, just voluntarily coming in to talk more ball, watch more film. They want to be good here. They want to be great here. And I think that's obviously part of it. It's how much you want to do it, and so we're going to be here as coaches for them. And, but they have to want to be the people, that are the champions.
No doubt. And also being where you are in the Delaware up there, in the mid-Atlantic up there, man, there's so much talent up there that you can go find. You can just go 4 or 5 hours and find quality talent. So would Delaware been a national brand in the FCS, because of Joe Flacco and other people in the tradition of the Blue Hens? Right. I feel like you can get guys who maybe went FBS, didn't play a lot, and can come down and play for you guys and give you if it's the right culture fit for you, help your team immensely.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And I think that's what's kind of changed in the portal has done great things and bad things. I'm sure everybody has their opinions. It's what it is right now. But what it does allow you to do is kind of evaluate the character of transfers a little bit more than you used to. Like if you had a need back in the day before the portal and you took a transfer, sometimes you were taking a flyer on somebody you didn't know much about because there was only a couple of kids out there that were transferring, and whereas now it's not too different than high school recruiting. You can vet, you can talk to coaches, you can talk to high school coaches, college coaches, mentors. You get a chance to get a feel for kids a little bit differently than you used to, I think, because there's more choices out there. There's kids that have played at all different levels of football that are in the portal that, might fit your culture and your needs.
Most definitely. And Ryan, you and I both can attest to this, being FCS guys, that if you come to FCS school, you can get seen. The eye of the sky does not lie. If you can play, they'll find you.
Right. There will be 32 NFL teams that come through our practices, just like there are that come through Rutgers and Maryland and Penn State. We're going to have, if you're good enough, you're going to be found. It's not like you can't hide good talent from the NFL. They're going to find it. And so if you're out there playing, though, you're not, when you're not going to be found is when you're sitting on the bench for Penn State or Rutgers or Maryland. And so sometimes it is, the better situation to be an FCS player and get on the field and prove your worth.
100%. And and also I feel like this, Ryan, as well, is like guys who had that chip on their shoulder, who didn't get to play up there, come
Mm.
down. They want it even more. They want to prove themselves. So, and I understand that. I'm kind of torn, Ryan, because for me and my father, how he raised me is to fight through things and not give up on things. But at the same time, it's like sometimes you have to leave and give some opportunity to show what you can do as well.
Right. Yeah. Again, I'm with you, and everybody hops into the portal for different reasons, and so it's not, you can't judge one just because the other one was this way and that way, and everybody's got their reasons, and it's understandable. There's a lot of situations where, people just aren't getting a fair shake, and that's fine, or maybe a coach leaves or whatever it may be, and I think it's good for college football. It just certainly has changed it.
And Ryan, and I was around Chip Kelly when he was in his younger days. So I want to ask you this question, but knowing who you was around, how
Mhm.
was the game changed in your mind from when you played until now, for as offensively, defensively as well?
Okay. Well, I will correct you on one thing. I was actually, I was luckily have had a chance to talk with Coach Kelly a million
Okay,
times.
yeah, talk.
But so he was involved in hiring me, and then he left. So we were like two ships passing in the night. When I got
Gotcha.
to New Hampshire, he was on his way to Oregon, in that same off season. He was at New Hampshire when we were talking initially, and we got a chance. But he came back a bunch. He talked ball with us a bunch. He was always so great to the New Hampshire football program because it was part of who he was. He was a New Hampshire guy, and so we've talked a lot of ball. I would say this. Football's evolved the way football always evolves, right? Year to year, you're going to see great changes, sometimes small, sometimes big, sometimes rules play a part in that, sometimes athletes play a part in that, sometimes, the transfer portal might play a part in that. There's different things that are going to affect the overall aspect of college football every year, right? It's how well you adapt, right? It's an evolve or die situation. And so you're in that situation where if you have an offense in a box or a defense in a box and you say, this is who we are and we're going to be that way, well, at some point, somebody's going to catch up to you, because if you don't want to change, if you don't want to see what the trends are and how things are going, then you're probably not going to stay on top. But I'll say this on the flip side of that: if you don't do the things you're supposed to do to win and score points offensively, defensively, hold people on third downs, get sacks, create turnovers on offense, create X plays, run the football well, and throw and catch, you're not going to win football games, regardless of what scheme you're running. And so I think it's kind of cool the way offense and defense is. There's going to be things that are common that you have to do as pillars of, statistics. If you don't do these things well, you're not going to have a winning football team. But also, if you don't change and you don't get a little bit different, you don't tweak certain things, and you don't self-scout well, and you don't realize that people are going to be scouting you and figuring out what you do and your tendencies. And if you don't change those, I think you will get caught up with. And so that's what it's been fun to be just let's say an offensive guy like myself, to be able to watch the best offenses in the country, and you see how they change from year to year. And you see the ones that don't, and they usually aren't as good the next year as they were the year before. And that's something I think that Coach Kelly's always done well. Is you watch him from year to year. I mean, he's so different now than he was even when he was with the Eagles or at Oregon the first time. The things he does on offense, and they're still last year they were the number one Pac-12 offense if I recall. And so he's just doing it different ways, and that's great offensive football. That's a great offensive mind. Someone who can do it with 12 and 13 personnel just as well as he can do it with 10 and playing crazy fast. And so those are the things I admire about guys like him, and I also admire certain things about people like Mike Leach, who will never change and be exactly who he is. And he's always going to score points too, because he believes in those certain pillars of what it takes to win. And so it's interesting to see the different aspects of it. But the way college football is going, I think you just have to stay one step ahead.
No doubt. I got one last one for you. A big one for you. You got a birthday coming up in August. What's gonna be your plans for your birthday, man? Besides fall camp, man.
Have a great practice that day. That is my plan for fall. It's been my fall camp. It's been my birthday fall camp goals every year. Have a great camp. My 21st birthday, guess where I was?
On the
I
field, having a great camp.
Back then it was probably double sessions too. And so, yeah, that's, I appreciate that question because my poor wife is an August birthday too. So we try to do something in June and July together where we can say this was our birthday, because she doesn't get a chance to see me much during August. But that's funny. Yeah. When's your birthday?
March 11th. So I get to
enjoy
nice mine.
Exactly. A nice spring ball. There's going to be a weekend there where you can celebrate it, Whereas,
yeah, see, having a March birthday here in Atlanta is tricky. It's either going to be rainy or hot. Or you never know what you're going to get doing my birthday in Atlanta. So you never know what you're going to get. So it's hit or miss each year.
I love it.
But hey, at least it's in March.
Exactly.
Now my cousin's birthday is on Christmas, so he got screwed.
It's only one set of presents you get.
Yes.
We're celebrating Jesus in that day, not as much your cousin.
Yes, he got that right. Hey man, it's been fun to chat with you, Ryan. I'll do this again real soon, brother. When I comes, like I told you, when the Hawks come to play the Sixers, man, hopefully I'll try to get up with you, come down and see you, man.
Sounds awesome. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, brother.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right.